let's kickstart this Arquiconsult Knowledge Bit session. So together with me, I have my colleague Francisco Pereira, which will be assisting in this presentation. My name is Luis Fernandes, for the ones who haven't yet have the chance to know me. And we work in a vertical and add-ons team within Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And today we will be presenting to you a quick introduction to Dynamics 365 Commerce. And let's proceed with the actual demo. Okay, so D365 Commerce is first and before everything else a full-featured ERP. Okay, so finance and operations, now call it finance and supply chain, is the backbone of the entire framework. And within that framework, we would have obviously all modules you would expect from this kind of solution. So if you think everything around financial dimension, inventory management, catalogs, fixed assets, data master data management tools, full support for procurement and sourcing and sales and marketing operations, tax, and so on. So when we speak about D365, we are speaking much more than just a simple e-commerce solution, but we are looking at an entire framework, an entire application stack that is offered with this offer. Okay, so in the specific context that I would like to display here today, will be mainly focused on in our retail/commerce features, and within those you have the capability to have a centralized module that contains all relevant structures that a retailer could think of. Okay, you have also a basically concentrated workspace that contains all main information you would imagine to be necessary to assess or to inquire on a frequent basis, and all of that is available in a single screen. So if we consider this experience, a retailer would have a number of retail channels and a number of online channels, right? So retail channels or physical stores would reflect our retail chain, and all these stores would be essentially a point and a structure to enclose and allow for retail operations and physical shopping experiences, right? So all of that is here. It's of course a traditional concept. And then we have also our online stores. So within online stores, essentially we create a structure to which we can link several defaults, so several features, and we can essentially personalize the type of behavior we want to enable in this particular channel. So if I open my online store, essentially I have here a backup warehouse, some defaults about currency and so on, all necessary connectors for payment gateways, and we'll look into that, multi-language support, and financial dimensions to analytically classify all transactions coming from this particular online store. Attached to this online store, we then have the capability of publishing our items. So what are we planning to sell over this particular online channel? To do that, we have the capability of assigning assortments, as you can see here, and essentially link groups of items that belong to a logical set and assign them to a specific online channel. So if you think about this concept, it's then fairly easy to understand that we can have these logical groups of items or of item families, and then we can decide to what channels we want to publish them. Okay, so if we see here, I see that we have an assortment in a draft mode yet, so probably a colleague of mine is doing some experiences on what items to publish for this particular channel, and then I have a published assortment. On this published assortment, I can look at it and see to what retail channels is he assigned to, and what products belong to this assortment in specific. So if you look at here, you don't actually see items because that would be too painful to keep. So we have a more clever way to do that. So we link categories to a specific channel. And we state if we want specific categories also to be excluded, of course. So you have a full control if you want to add individual items or if you want to add full bulk categories to have a more efficient way of managing this master data. Okay, so if I see here, I have only this fashion catalog category assigned to this particular online store. So if I open it, I can see the structure behind it. So we can evaluate what items belong to a specific category and some setup around it. So what we see here is a very simple structure of categories in a tree level shape where we can specify the granularity we need and then link our items to these categories. Okay. Looking at that, we then can see products here. We can define the display order of these particular products, and we can even see product attributes. So product attributes, it's a very nice feature enabled by D365 Commerce that allows you to, through configuration, so no development necessary, you can specify what attributes are relevant to further classify and enrich your specific products. So these are more than data, so you can actually use them for searching capabilities and also for filtering ones. So we can specify here a criteria which we can later use to further refine our searches and our filtering within a specific e-commerce store. Okay. So this being said, we can also specify here the type of navigation we want to enable to our customers. So the structure that you define here is then the structure that is exposed in the actual online store, right? So in menswear we have shoes, casual shirts, and so on, and all of that is then reflected in the e-commerce side of it. The e-commerce side of it, which you are seeing now, is then a reflection of all these configurations, right? So that same structure that you just saw there is then exposed here. So if I see in menswear, we then have all the categories you were seeing just before, and we, more than classifying items, we are also defining the navigation rules for a given customer experience. Okay. So as you see, this full feature store, which allows for responsive structures such as you are seeing right now, is a sophisticated framework which allows for digital experiences, and it should rival with the state-of-the-art navigation and UI and UX experiences and guidelines currently out there. Okay. So of course we have the capability for searching, and that searching is then enabled for all the attributes we just saw. We have our shopping cart, we have the capability of managing wish lists and then having those wish lists exposed both in the online store but also in the retail point of sales, which means that the entire organization knows about the preferences of a given customer. So you have this centric management of the customer as an entity, which is incredibly powerful if you want to enable great customer experiences. And then, of course, you can customize your online store to reflect categories, imagery, or any marketing materials, besides, of course, the actual items you want to expose in your catalog. Okay. So you can specify trending items, new arrivals, and all sorts of ways of showcasing your items. Within these, of course, or besides these, you of course have the capabilities of specifying static pages to display more content, such as information about the organization, contacts, and so on. Looking at the centerpiece of an e-commerce page, so essentially the products displayed there, we have the capability of displaying an item with all the details coming directly from a single point of truth. So coming directly from the product information management module in D365. So the description that you insert when you create your product is the description displayed here. The title, the name of the product, is then the name displayed here. The capabilities around the combinations we can do with a specific product regarding its size, a style, or a specific color are centralized in D365 and also exposed here. So you don't need to double your efforts. You don't need to manage your data in the ERP and your data in the e-commerce platform. You make a single moment for that definition, and you make all the rules for that. And then you just expose that data to e-commerce in a seamless way. In this case, we can, of course, have specific images. We can have dedicated images based on the decisions I make here and so on. So as a customer, I might be impelled to look at this structure to see product specifications, and wow, look here, we see the same attributes we were seeing before. So D365 will dynamically display this. So it's not just a matter of filtering and a matter of internal information. It's also the capability of you providing meaningful information to your customers. Those might be legal informations if we are selling regulated products, or these might be just material marketing structures. So you can actually enrich and explain the contents and the characteristics of a given product. Besides this, D365 Commerce offers out of the box the capability of a review and monitoring structure. So you can actually provide a rating to a given product and also inform about a specific review. So when you buy this item, you can actually share your feedback. D365 Commerce also actively monitors this content to make sure that we actually don't allow for unintended feedback here, which might be infringing any terms and conditions regarding the content that we allow customers to share. Okay, so all of this, in a way, of course, that is leveraged by artificial intelligence from Azure, and all of this to allow you to don't have a burden on actually managing every single line of content that your customers might want to share. So a great way of us actually showcasing the capabilities of our products, which is asking other customers to tell their experience about them. Okay, very common in most of the large websites we know nowadays, and it's also available out of the box here. Okay, so as a customer, I might be glad to make a decision here. So I'm interested in this particular shoe. I'm size 8. I want a regular style, and I'm happy with this brown color. Okay. So this being said, I can actually add this to my bag and start that shopping experience. Okay. When I add this to my shopping bag, I have what you would assume for a shopping cart, where we have already an order summary with some specified subtotals and then some pending information based on the decisions I'll make regarding the fulfillment of a specific order. Okay. So besides this, I can see that I actually have here some additional information. So when I selected my item, so our Grand Capsule Leather Oxfords, we were actually recommended, or we were informed that these items are frequently bought together with that specific one. This information is not defined by the retailer, or it can be, but ideally we would want e-commerce to be this intelligent structure that enables these shopping patterns and then provides meaningful, relevant information to customers without retailers having to map everything themselves. So the idea here is to look at this purchase history from our customers and allow for D365 to actually suggest what they think would be relevant data. So all of this is dynamically generated based on the decisions we make on the items added to the shopping cart. Okay. So of course, besides these, we have other capabilities of relating items. Some of them leveraging artificial intelligence features. Some of them by allowing retailers to manually map it. Okay. So looking at these, I might be interested in this particular loafer. So if I open this card, I can see all relevant details, such as we saw, and decide to actually, I want to purchase this one as well. So I make my decisions. I might take the salmon one, and I would add it to the cart. Okay. So as you saw, the image just changed to reflect that specific decision I've made. So when we publish our data, we have the capability of enabling images which are specific to a variant, so specific to a combination. So now I have my cart here, and I see that I'm saving actually here an amount. So I have here an applicable discount on my selected items. Okay, that means that due to my decisions, I was considered applicable for a given item. All of that pricing, of course, is managed centrally. So you have a centralized way of defining sales pricing, tax rules, and applicable discounts to further enable the experiences that you later provide to your customers. Okay, and I see here that, well, I have the capability of actually picking up this item. So I might be actually wanting to pick this one instead of having it shipped directly to me. So I might have the need for this shoe in an urgent way. So I might be led to that decision actually. So if I hit here, the solution will try to look for a specific store next to me. Unfortunately, this particular retailer don't have any store in a near circle around my particular location. So I might be led to actually search for instance, the city I would be to check if there is any availability there. When doing that, I actually receive a list of stores which contain inventory or this particular shoe that I just selected, and D365 then sorts the stores according to its proximity degree. So in this case, I searched for San Francisco, and I see here that this store actually has my stock in my shoe in stock. So I can check the contacts. I can see at what items are they open or not. So I might decide, well, I'll pick this item in this store. I don't actually want it shipped to my house. So by doing that, I mark this line as a pickup in store. And from that moment on, I am entering this omni-channel experience. So same steps, same bag, but now I have the chance to make two decisions regarding how will these items be delivered to me, or how will I pick them up. So that being said, I might do the checkout. So I can do that as an authorized user. So I might create a full feature customer account, or I can do just a guest checkout if I actually don't want to pass my full details, or I don't actually want to manage my customer account in this particular store. So here I could add my details as a customer. Of course, I'm putting some dummy data here. So adding the information regarding my shipping address and so on, my contacts in case of any specific need for this particular purchase. Then I am faced with the delivery option. So I have, for the item that will be delivered to me, I now have the chance to select one of the 3 available delivery options. Of course, these were defined in the ERP, and as well as the costs around it. So I might go for this standard option here, and then I can actually insert my credit card payment details for the checkout itself. This particular e-commerce store is mapped to the Adyen connector. So D365 is out of the box integrated with Adyen payment gateways. So all credit card support is offered through that connector. And of course, we can also extend the solution to enable other payments which are common or frequent in these e-commerce solutions. Okay, so I might decide here that, okay, let me just insert my name and my credit card number. Please don't share this with anyone. And I insert my expiration month and year and so on. Here I'll select a specific set of details regarding the billing of this particular payment authorization. So we just inserted it there. Okay, so here a state and a zip code. And I can actually save this in order for me to place my order. So now I can actually add an email address, so I can actually receive updates from this order. So I will be, of course, interested in knowing when will my item ship. So, and I of course want an order confirmation from this particular purchase. So the D365 Commerce will actually send me specific email notifications based on the status of the order. So order created, order shipped, and so on. So I'll save this information and actually place my order. So placing my order here, order is confirmed, and I receive here my confirmation ID. So an order reference, a unique order reference that will allow me to actually trace this order if I actually, for instance, need to go to the store to pick up the second item. The customer experience would end here with an order summary and a confirmation that the order was successfully submitted. So of course I could go back to shopping and keep browsing and keep buying more items. And while this happens, the retailer itself has the mean to actually see the output of this particular purchase. So D365 Commerce syncs all relevant data back and forth between the back office and the stores, being the stores both online or brick and mortar ones, okay? So that means I can actually go to my back office here, and on that back office, going to my home page, I can actually search and validate all transactions received under a specific channel or not. So if I search here for my online store transactions, I can actually open this form and see all relevant sales that happened in a period of time. And of course, I can actually filter them in order to find a specific one or not. So this retail transaction is still a staging zone, so it's not the full feature sales order. It's essentially a structure that allows for data to be received and then furthermore processed and converted into a formal sales order. Okay, so this being said, I then can filter by my channels, and I can actually see from a back office perspective what items were bought under this particular transaction, what payment methods were applied, and if any discount transactions were captured, we will also display the discount details here. So this allows for a consistent way of digesting this data and consuming it in all the necessary means, such as BI visualizations, any relevant dashboard, and so on. So This structure so allows me to do that. I can trace back my my reference number here, so it allows me to actually make that trace if I need to provide any explanation to my customer, to my specific customer. So if I want to filter, I can actually click here on the filtering structure and then specify a specific criteria for that. So D365 will allow me to actually define here what would be the filtering criteria. So we can select, for instance, channel reference ID if I want to actually filter by that particular one, and I can actually search here and try to find my specific order. Okay. In this case, I actually see that my order is already here, so fully synced and available to me. I actually even see that this sales transaction is already a full feature sales order. So D365 already did all of that integration for me. So opening this sales order, I can actually see that it was created under a default retail customer account. So due to the fact that the customer didn't want to actually create a formal customer account, we received everything under a default one, which can also be used to support the actual sales order in these special scenarios. Okay. A sales order is then is of course a concept that in D365 is completely critical. So it holds all the details and all relevant actions are actually attached to a sales order. So if I want to make an advanced fulfillment calculation on what would be the most cost-efficient strategy to deliver this particular sales order, together as many other thousands I might have in a specific moment in time, I can actually ask D365 to calculate that for me. So I can say, based on proximity, based on item restrictions, based on a number of logical rules, we can ask D365 to calculate that for us. So it's essentially an engine that you of course can imagine to be available in large marketplaces where a human interaction will not of course be possible to define fulfillment methods. So an intelligent engine needs to actually do that hard work for the users, and so they just manage exceptions, which are essentially the disruptive part of the business. So here I see my two items. I see quantities and prices and so on. I can actually see here a discount based on that promotion we just catch. And I can see that both lines are still in an open status, meaning the shipment is yet to be accepted. So just a quick notice that, of course, D365 will take a look on the delivery modes and will actually use them to then propagate data to the necessary retail channels. So in this case, for this particular item, I see that it's mapped as a customer pickup, but this one is actually mapped to a mode of delivery which intends a shipment. So it means that if I now executed a full master planning, I would only be doing that having in mind that these two have two specific stock points, so I can actually fulfill them properly. Okay. Of course, this sales order, as any other, would have its own life cycle, and I'll not explore that because you can, of course, imagine that now we could, for instance, release this to a warehouse, display that information in mobile devices to be picked around the warehouse according to a predefined picking route and all relevant logistics strategies that we could apply. And then it would have its mean of picking, packing, and eventually shipping and the actual invoicing of it. So while that happens, me as a customer might actually go to the physical store and actually pick my item as the one I decided that I wanted to pick up in store. So to do that, I'll go to the store, and in front of me, I'll have a staff member from the store with a full feature POS in front of them. And this full feature POS system will enable them to provide me a customer experience which is immersive, almost the same as the one I was just actually providing through the e-commerce tool. So here we can actually browse all the catalog we have. We can search for customers, we can search for products, we can make a number of inventory relevant operations, and so on. So as a customer, I can come to the store and can actually ask for the item I just marked to be picked up here. So me as a staff member can actually go to my order fulfillment page and validate and actually perform this delivery for the customer that I have in front of me. To do that, I see here all orders that are actually mapped to be picked up by my particular store. So you have a centralized way of seeing all pending pickups from customers. So this being said, I can actually ask the customer to provide me a proof of that order, which he can actually have on its email, and he will provide me with that reference that we just generated at the end of the order. So I can actually filter here by that particular reference and try to find that particular order. So applying this filter will allow me to see that, well, indeed I have here an order which was formally accepted, and I can actually pick it up and deliver it to the customer. So to do that, I can actually generate a pickup structure, or if I want a full feature process, I can generate a picking list at the store, okay? So in this case, I actually go physically pick up the items and deliver them to the customers. Doing that, I will actually transfer this structure to the actual cart so I can later process the sale. So here we have, of course, two options. We can decide through a configuration if we actually want to capture the payment on the moment of the e-commerce experience checkout, or if we want actually to process that on the POS. So we can decide, for instance, just to do an authorization on the credit card, but then actually charge the credit card up until exactly on this moment of the pickup. So if the ADN connector is used for both experience in the Omni engine that they support, this would be fully controlled here, okay? Or I can just state that items were paid upfront, and now I just have the task of delivering them to the customer. So this being said, I can actually process this particular sale like any other sales order or like any other actual transaction I would do in store. So this would allow me just to, if necessary, capture any payment and just classify this as any other retail store transaction that you would have. So in an easy way, without complex data synchronization structures and so on, we just created this online experience. We brought that down to the store and we completed it at the store. So this being all integrated, the customer, if he has a customer account attached to it, could even see his purchase history regardless of the fulfillment method. So he could see its purchase history on all channels. Okay, so that's the real value here, is this seamless out-of-the-box integration. Now we have seen the cover of the book, but we haven't seen the backbone of it. Okay, so of course that to support this online experience, we have a site builder or a site back office that allows us to further customize this particular experience and navigation structure. So if I look at this item here, I can actually think that we could enrich this story. So we could make it more visual, maybe explaining the way this shoe is produced. So actually explaining the manufacturing process can actually engage more customers than just displaying the product image, right? So going to the back office of the e-commerce website, I can actually see all relevant details about a specific customer. I can, of course, see products. I can specify layouts and templates and so on. So, and one important thing, D365 e-commerce has a full feature media server. So it holds and it hosts all imagery and all videos you would like to share in your e-commerce website. This can even be leveraged in a way that the POS can actually consume its product images from this media library. So you don't need actually to manage two different media structures, one for your stores, one for your online e-commerce web store. So you can actually have a centralized way of holding all the media and then exposing that media on the back office, on the POS, and also on the e-commerce store, okay? So looking at that product, I could clearly make something more rich about its content. So if I go to a specific product image, the product page for that specific shoe I was just showing, I can actually make a personalization to that. So just making a specific rule just for that item. So making an exception to the template that we have. So as you see here, I can actually open and render the website, but in a back office way. So in an administrator way. Here, I can decide to make specific changes and test those changes before actually publishing them. So if I edit this page, I can try to add here a complement that was prepared, for instance, from our marketing team. So they create these storylines, and we then have the possibility to enrich product pages with those storylines. If I see here, I can actually configure this structure. So I would say that as a retailer, I don't want to immediately display the possibility for the customer to add a product to the bag. First, I want to tell him a story, and then at the end of it, I want actually to propose the purchase of it. So I can decide to add here a fragment, which is a piece of data, and try to enrich this. So if I search for leather, because I know our marketing guys have done something regarding the manufacturing process of this particular leather shoe, I can decide to add a leather storytelling fragment in order to further enrich this story. So adding this to the page, I can immediately see the output of that. So I can see that this structure now tells about our materials, the precision of our manufacturing process, and the craftsmanship involved in all the production, as well as the care we take on the packaging of our items to our customers. And only then we will be asking the customer if he wants to make a decision about this particular purchase, okay? So this being said, I can actually save this, finish this editing, adding here some notes, and then have a preview on this, okay? So an inside view just for me. If I'm happy with the result, I can actually publish it. So the publishing process is actually quite straightforward. So we hit the button and we refresh a page. So if I go to my online store again, where I had this previous version of this item, if I just refresh it, so what I just did, if I just refresh it, I just see immediately the output of that. So in a couple of clicks, we have just added this great storyline, very visual, very interesting, and then customizing just this specific item page with that structure. Of course, if I then go to any other item, I'll see a different page depending on the overrides, the templates, and the specific rules, the specific enrichment elements that belong to any given item, okay? So the idea here is essentially to share with you the seamless experience of jumping between online and offline retail channels while keeping the same structure, while keeping the same data, having a unique point of truth for all relevant business data structures, and then expose that data in the best way possible in order to provide this great customer experience with incredibly complex structures behind it, but with a very simple and clean experience for our customers. This is what we have planned for today. Of course, D365 Commerce is a complete and immense world around every single piece that makes part of a retailer and the retail business. To give you more insights than that, we would need more than this webinar duration. So thank you for your availability. Hope you enjoyed this small session, this small insight. And if you have any questions, I'm more than available to assist you and to give you all the necessary feedback.